Hello, and welcome to the Fantasy Rewind podcast. I'm your co-host, Dylan Stoll, and I'm joined as always by my friend, Michael Whifford.
Hey.
So today, we're going to be talking about the penultimate episode for House of the Dragon, which is a fancy way of saying we're talking episode 9, House of the Dragon, titled...
The Green Room. Wait.
Not the Green Room, the Green Council.
Well, they all met in the room.
They did.
And they painted it green. Huh. Well, red.
Oh, they painted it red. Yeah. All right. But yes, we were talking the penultimate episode here for House of the Dragon. The series is flying by, and we are definitely excited for seeing what the finale holds for us. But let's get ahead of ourselves. Let me just give y'all the typical reminders here before we dive into the episode. So, as always, if you want to get in contact with the show, you can send us an email, which is fantasyrewindpod@gmail.com. You could get at us on Twitter, which is @fantasyrewind. We're also available on Instagram, which is @fantasyrewindpod. All right, without any further delay, let's dive into the rewind.
Fantasy Rewind.
All right, Mike, so before we get into this here, just general impressions. What did you think of episode 9?
Really upsetting in a good way.
Okay. What you got?
So, obviously all the conflict, there was every sort of twist and turn you got here. You just kind of ended up like, no, don't do that, or change this, or like you wanted things to work out better, I guess. And how it ended, you wanted, and obviously they couldn't have done this otherwise. They wouldn't have had a series, but we really wanted... oh my gosh, what's her face?
A little more action from Rhaenys?
Yeah, I wanted Rhaenys to just say Dracarys.
Oh, everyone and their mother were like, come on,
just
say
yelling it. Dracarys, burn those.
How many people screamed Dracarys on their couches while they were sitting there watching Rhaenys stare down Alicent?
Yeah. So what about you, Dylan? What were your overall thoughts on the episode? Mine are very emotional, obviously.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it, as always, of course. I've liked how they slowed the show down a lot for this episode, because you got to remember that this is basically a direct continuation from the last scene we saw from episode 8, where King Viserys has just died.
Yeah.
The queen she left the room before he actually passed away. He was still raspy breathing when she left. But the queen leaves, finds out that the king is dead, and all of a sudden, minutes stretch and stretch and stretch. And they do this episode in like half of a day.
Yeah.
Like, if that. And it's just rushing right on through like the busy day and lives of conspirators for the crown in this episode. And so I thought it was a great episode. I really enjoyed that, like, kind of microcosm, how it felt like a very closet-sized episode, and that it slowed everything down and was self-contained in the Keep and in King's Landing. We didn't have too many different storylines jumping around, but all in all, it was good. All right, Mike, why don't you take us through, and we'll go through the episode here.
So my notes are a little sparse this week, but we'll start off here where... we kind of intro in, and it's a very somber, kind of very quiet Red Keep, which is different. And we come to find out that it seems like it's very early in the morning at least. So only the servants are up and about, and it's because they found out that the king is dead, the little boy did, and he told the handmaiden, and she went and told Queen Alicent. And then Queen Alicent calls a small council meeting, pretty much, with her father, the Hand of the King. And she lets them know that the king is dead and that he, on his deathbed, wished for Aegon to be king.
Which this right here is a straight up lie. However, Alicent doesn't know that it's a lie. Yeah, because in her defense, as much as Alicent had wanted this to happen, she heard what she wanted to hear from her conversation with Viserys. And in his fever dream, he said, Aegon, the prince that was promised. And she took that as, I want our son Aegon, who is the prince that was promised to take over the throne here. So she heard what she wanted to hear and just is running with it and being like, he wanted Aegon to be king. This is not a lie. Believe me. And everyone's like, sure, yes, he said this.
Yo, I couldn't believe this. Cole, so one of the lords,
he's just snapped.
Yeah, he is. He's a rabid dog, pretty much, as far as I'm concerned. One of the lords, Lord Bailey or
Lord Beesbury,
basically says he's not going to stand for this. He doesn't believe it, and he's right on the money. And Cole just goes over and tells him to sit down, but does it by slamming his head and killing him. And there's no repercussions for this. This is what I find crazy. So apparently, you can just kill a lord, and there's nothing anyone can do about that.
Well, the reason why is because of who Sir Criston Cole has become. He is the Queen's favorite and the Queen's personal sworn protector. And you see in the room, everyone's like, oh no, like, what just happened? Like, what did you do? But everyone's too afraid to say anything because if they offend Cole, they'll offend the Queen, and the Queen is the power in the realm right now. Viserys is a toothless lion right now, and the High Towers, both the Hand and the Queen, are the real powers in Westeros at this time.
That's, Anyway, they begin talking about how they've had this all in the works for a while, and this is how Lord Beesbury gets really upset because they've been planning this. They're proving themselves to be traitors, and when Alicent says, oh, he said it on his deathbed, well, excuse me? Like, hold on, you're all in cahoots, and you've been planning this out. No, I'm not going to believe you.
Right.
And
why would you?
All of them are just a bunch of traitors. Oh, really makes me...
It's because they are looking out for their own self-interest, and what's in their own self-interest is keeping the status quo, which is the High Towers in power.
Yeah. Now, what I do like about Alicent in this scene is that she genuinely didn't know. And also, when they're talking about how they're going to have to go and kill all of Daemon's and
Daemon's and Rhaenyra's children.
A lot of them. Alicent's like, no. She's like, he did not want them dead. And the Hand's just like, well, we're going to do it anyway. And so it really sets up this interesting conflict between the Hand and Queen Alicent, which I liked in this episode quite a bit. I do think it's interesting, though, that Alicent is kind of like, oh, I don't want them dead, because that is very different than what she would have been like an episode ago, a little bit ago.
Yeah, 2 episodes ago, before the end of last episode.
And we have the Lord Captain Commander of the Kingsguard.
The Kingsguard, resigns.
Basically, he's like, well, I don't know if he resigns necessarily, or more just like, no, I'm not taking any commands from you. You're not the king. Until there is one, then I'll answer them. But see you. I really wanted Cole to fight him, though, because I wanted him to kill Cole.
I know. That would have been great. But yeah, I took that scene basically as the Lord Captain Commander of the Kingsguard being like, I'm not your lapdog. Cole might be, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm a man of honor. I'm a Kingsguard. I will defend the king. You're not the king.
Correct.
Get at me when we have one.
Yeah. And I wonder if this has to be in the back of Alicent's mind, but if it was Rhaenyra there who is becoming the queen like she was supposed to, there wouldn't be any threats of her killing Aegon or any of them, necessarily. Like, as much as her dad wants to feed her those lies, like, I don't think Rhaenyra would be sitting there like, oh, let's get everyone and go kill all the High Towers. No,
I don't think so either. Like I said, the reason for me that Rhaenyra would even consider that is because of the way Alicent has treated her and her children.
But I feel like they buried the hatchet a bit,
Well, yes, I meant before last episode. Like, last episode at the dinner there, it seemed like things got a little bit more resolved, cooler heads prevailed, until the children just were petulant.
Yeah. Now, after this, we have the the Hand of the King and the Queen both get a group of soldiers, I guess, 2 really, a pair of soldiers. Kingsguard, and for the Queen it was the King and her son, and then for the King it was the brothers, I don't remember their names.
A pair of brothers that were Kingsguard, and then Criston Cole and her son Aemond.
And they're both hunting for Aegon.
Yeah, hunting down Aegon.
Yeah, who we just find how terrible of a person he is.
Right.
And this search for him, because they go to the sleaziest places, including children fighting.
With filed teeth and filed nails so that they could get down and make some damage.
Yeah, and I love that. I like that when they got there, the 2 Kingsguard that were sent from the king were like, do we really want to serve this person? Like, look how terrible this guy is. And
so that's something that we see throughout the episode, even, is from the split sides between those 2 brothers. They're twin brothers, I think, at least. But they're brothers.
Yeah. Well, I just meant the 2 pairs of knights both also were having conversations kind of like, he might not be...
Yeah. The general consensus seems to be that...
Aegon sucks.
Aegon might not be a good king.
Or just a good person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, like, you see all these little blonde-haired kids all over Flea Bottom. And it's like, oh, there's one of Aegon's bastards. Like, it's... His little children, his little dragon seeds are everywhere.
Yeah. He's such an interesting character. Like,
he's the king who does not want to be king.
And we don't know that much about him outside of that, and we've never really gotten to know him in any meaningful ways. I feel like we know Aemon better than we do Aegon. Aemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the next big part here is how there are those 2 camps, the camps for the queen, the camps for the king, or for the hand of the king, out searching for Aegon. And you're getting me saying the wrong names now.
I know, there's just so many. And George R. R. Martin needs to pay for his sins of naming everyone the same or like 2 syllables off.
But then the White Worm meets up with the members that are with the Hand of the King. And they are basically like, hey, tell us where Aegon is. And she's like, oh, we will, but you gotta send the Hand down himself, because I am demanding respect shown to me. And so that whole clandestine meeting is happening with the people that were sent, aka Cole and Aemond, by the queen herself, watching on and be like, hey, they're gonna find him. Let's just hang back. And so the brothers that were sent by the Hand find Aegon. He puts up a fight, doesn't want to be king, doesn't want to be taken to his coronation, none of that. And as they're walking out, Aemond and Kristen Cole are like, hey, we'll take that. And so they get a hold of him. There's a little bit of a sword fight there, but only one of the brothers is willing to fight for Aegon. And the other one's like, nah, screw him, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I thought that was itself an interesting little statement piece there. Like, not really rebellion, but like the seeds of rebellion are going on with him. And we see that surface up again in a little bit.
I think we have some interesting offshoots here. Kind of before that happens, we have the Hand calling in all the lords and ladies that are in the Red Keep. And he's basically like, this is what happened. King Viserys dead, and on his deathbed, he said Aegon should be king. Are you going to bend the knee to the new king? Yes or no? And pretty much all of them,
if you don't, you're dead.
Do, because if they don't, their heads are put on a spike. Are going to be put on a spike.
I mean, this is actually something we haven't even talked about yet at all. But throughout all of this, when all these discussions are happening, the servants are being rounded up and held captive. Yes. No one is allowing word of what's happening in the Red Keep outside of the Red Keep.
Yeah,
and I think everyone's afraid that, hey, Rhaenyra has no idea what's going on right now.
Correct.
So let's keep it that way.
They're, embalming her father, like, in private in his bedroom because they don't want people to know. Because if she finds out, she's going to ride her dragons over here, and then we're going to have conflict. But this way, we can set everything up and get it all done and official, and then we have the entire world or land behind us, and guess what? Sorry, Rhaenyra, you're dead.
Yeah. Your claim is worthless because we already have a king that's been sworn in. And now part of this whole secrecy process is Princess Rhaenys being locked in her room.
Yes.
And she takes offense to that.
As she should.
And rightfully so, yes.
Yeah, as she should.
I mean, there's this cool conversation between her and Alicent. And that conversation was basically like a measuring contest. And, it was just like...
Rhaenys was like, oh, you're very bold for coming in here and saying this. And her facial expression is just like, I'm done with this crap.
Yeah. And so, like we already mentioned, in our introduction of the episode here, like how Rhaenys rises up with her dragon there.
So awesome. They forgot she was a
That was a really
Targaryen.
cool scene. Yeah. I forgot, like, she actually was still a dragon rider. I was like, oh, maybe they're just going to age her out of it. But no, she's still, like, this episode was to remind you, hey, I'm a badass myself. You know, like, I have all these nieces and nephews that are going on. Like, that might be their story in your opinion, but this is me. I'm still an important player in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so she rises up out of those floors there. And I was thinking, I was like, oh, is that the beast in the boards that we were being warned about by Helena Targaryen earlier?
So she brought it up again in this episode, yeah.
She did, yeah. So I'm thinking that too. Like we said, we'd look back on it and say, oh, that's what she was talking about. But she was led out of the castle and basically freed by this rebel Kingsguard, basically, who was like, you know, I've had enough of serving Aegon and the High Towers. Let's get you out of here. I know that you are, you know, a true Targaryen, that you are worthy of more respect than what you're being treated. Let's get you out of here. And she goes to the coronation of Aegon. And I'm going to just flip back. I'm just going to go through her little story real quick here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And while she is being led away out of the city, she gets, like, wrapped up in the crowd and gets, like, swarmed into that coronation ceremony. She's watching it for a bit. And then she's like, you know, let me just get out of here. And so she sneaks away, gets her dragon. That's when she busts up. And she has that stare down with Alicent and Aegon and everyone else that's in the coronation area. Right. She could have ended it all, saved us 4 seasons of television, but she's like, no, I'm not about that life. I'm here to make a statement, not to, you know, impact this civil war that much. Although she does fly right to Rhaenyra afterwards and tells her what's going on. And so if she was going to do that, then she should have just done it,
because that's going to save so much bloodshed and everything else. But I'm sure on when she's flying away, she's like sitting there kicking herself like, oh, I should have let you eat them.
Because the thing is that she already killed innocent peasants by rising up out of the floor there.
Yeah.
And so if it was like she decided not to cause any more death, that's a bad reason. It's because of plot armor that she did not kill them.
Correct.
And that's the sole reason why. And if that's the reason why even have her do that in the first place?
It would have been cool if she like went to do it and they like ran behind. They just got out of the way or something. Like make it more eventful a little bit there, because
or like when the Kingsguard jumps in front of her and like takes that, like gets her into ash or whatever.
Well,
you know what
I mean that would have still gone through.
Yeah. There's better ways they could have done it.
Because I don't think the stare down, while powerful, but then letting her go and she's going to go and fight them anyway, just seems stupid.
Right.
A little bit, you know?
Right. It's like, I'm going to let you go now. I'll come back and I'll fight you properly later. It's like, what? But
or at least
putting that one poor decision aside, was still a cool scene.
Oh no, yeah. And overall, like, I mean, as an episode, like you said, it was very much slowed down, but it needed to be for all these small pieces.
Yeah.
To start fitting into place. We also saw the return of Lord Strong.
Yeah, Lars Strong or whatever his name is.
I just said Lord.
Yeah, Lord Strong.
I don't remember his first name. That's a better way to do it. I don't know. He's the only strong left, so.
And so we see he has a foot fetish in the show now, which was a little weird.
Well, it kind of makes sense because he has like a leg thing.
He has the club foot.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so you're gonna do that. That's gonna be your little sexualization of Alicent, is like you're gonna let Lara Strong get down on some of her feet. Okay, that was definitely a choice.
Mm-hmm. Whatever. He disgusts me. That entire side of the family disgusts me, except for Aemon. Aemon's cool.
Now, Aemon is really cool. He definitely has like that Daemon vibe.
Oh yeah, which is why it's cool.
This season for sure. Yes. But we jumped around quite a bit here.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's jump back to Aegon Targaryen getting back to the Red Keep.
Mm-hmm.
And Queen Alicent basically lets her father know that she outmaneuvered him this time. And starts talking with Aegon again, like going and putting those sweet words into his ears that it doesn't matter that you don't want to be king, you're going to be. And you're going to just do it, and you're going to like it. And she kind of like hypes him up a little bit to be king a little bit. And throughout all this hype piece here, you start to see Aegon shifting a little bit and becoming more and more okay with the idea that he's going to be king. Until you get to the point where he's actually fully coronated, and he does the whole fist raise, sword in fist raise. All the crowd goes wild. And he starts to actually enjoy himself. And that's when Rhaenys is like, boy, please.
Yeah.
And puts a stop to the coronation piece there.
Respect the name Targaryen.
Right. What were your overall thoughts of just like that lead up to Aegon being crowned?
I mean, it was believable with his character. Like, we know he has never really wanted to be king, but we also know that he's kind of I don't really like a pushover and just wants power, kind of wants power, and it's like, as long as he has someone there to protect him.
Well, I wouldn't even say that he wants power. It's more like he's okay being powerful.
Sorry, he likes to abuse power.
Exactly, yeah. He likes taking advantage of weaker people.
Yeah, I mean, with all the women he's taken advantage of, that should be a clear definition. Watching little kids fight for his amusement. Like, he enjoys that stuff.
He enjoys that imbalance of power.
Yeah. So I think, even as much as he didn't want this because he didn't want to die and he didn't want to have to worry about all that responsibility being on him, his mom hyping him up, and he's probably sitting there thinking about how he'll be able to get away with anything now.
Yeah, being king is the ultimate imbalance of power.
Yeah. You can just ask Joffrey.
Yeah. Well, that's years and years to come.
Oh, I know. But hopefully his story, Aegon's story, ends a lot worse than Joffrey's did.
I mean, that is a pretty bad way to die, so I don't know.
Well, I know, but I want it even worse. Joffrey was terrible.
Oh, man, okay.
But I always just think, I'm skipping ahead here, obviously, but I'm always just thinking about the Red Wedding and how bad the Starks got it, and I just always want these evil characters to just get it so much worse.
See, that's the thing, though. So, just talking about George R. R. Martin and Song of Ice and Fire, the world of Ice and Fire, basically in large here, that's part of what I really enjoy about the series, is that there are some good characters, but are they really that good? There are some bad characters who are complicated, too, that have some redeeming qualities. There's a lot... Some.
And there's also just straight bad characters.
There are some very few straight bad and straight good characters, but it's a lot of that gray. And that's what's very entertaining and very intriguing about the world of Ice and Fire, in my opinion.
I'd agree.
Is just how you can understand the perspective from a lot of characters.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But getting back to this episode here real quick. What were your overall thoughts, though, on, like, we have all of that going down. We have the end of the episode where Rhaenyra and Rhaenys are together, and they are basically saying, like, okay, it's going to be war.
I'm... As sad as it sounds, I'm just, like, terrified because I just want the happy ending, but it's not going to happen that way. And honestly, if I could remember just some of the lineage, I'd probably know who already wins this or survives this, I guess, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be Rhaenyra. Yeah, and I have heard, I haven't really researched it, but maybe next episode will be Logtown? I don't know. Battle of Logtown?
I'm not sure.
Is that like a big thing?
I can't tell you anything I know,
okay.
But let's get into some predictions really quick here. So what are your thoughts about, like, what you would like to see for the season finale? And, like, what are you expecting to see for the season finale of House of the Dragon Season 1?
What I would have liked to have seen is just, like, the entire House of the Hand and the Foot eradicated by Rhaenys, but that's not going to happen. So my predictions for what's coming up is obviously Wow. Rhaenyra is going to call her banners to her, or the people who are still loyal to her, and that's going to be really intriguing because, I mean, say what I will about them, the Hand and his family has been very smart, and Queen Alicent's been very smart. They've eliminated a lot of her supporters.
Yes.
So it would just be the people who aren't there. But there are some major houses in play here. We have the Eyrie, we have Driftmark, we've got Dragonstone, and those are pretty big, places. So
they also
I
mentioned
don't know.
Storm's End and the Baratheons as well.
That's true. Storm's End. Wait, they support them, the Baratheons?
I don't know. Like, as far as like open houses that were still on the board, they mentioned them.
Oh yeah, they did. Oh, sorry. Yes. It will be intriguing. They're going to try to win a lot of these different houses to their sides. I think that's the next thing, and then there will be, I think, some smaller battles to sort of start settling this out. And of course, we're going to have some betrayal that we already know that's going to happen at some point.
Of course, it's going to be betrayal.
Whether that's to Queen Alicent and her crew or to Rhaenyra. I think we're going to have a lot of dragons, though. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
Well, I mean, it is called... So we are full on in the Civil War now. The Civil War, which is known as the Dance of Dragons.
The dragons.
So
probably a lot more dragons.
There's going to be dragon fights, which I'm looking forward to, and that is going to mean expensive show budgets, but I'm pretty sure they're willing to put the money where it needs to go.
Well, and I guess the next season's not coming out for another 2 years.
Ooh, that hurts.
Yeah, it does, but it's good for us in terms because The Witcher comes out next August too.
All right. Well, so just talking about like what I think is going to happen next episode there, I really don't feel like I should say what I think is going to happen, but
You want me to just take my headphones out?
No, because it's still going to spoil it for anybody else because I do know like some of the progression and everything.
Okay.
But what I'll say is that
maybe what you'd like to see.
I would like to see some good dragon on dragon fights. I would like to see some
more foot licking.
No more foot licking, or looking, no licking or looking. But I would like to see some good battles, and I'm looking forward to seeing like what this opening blow that Rhaenyra is going to strike will actually look like. Yeah,
I'll be intrigued to see it too.
All right, well, getting down to it. The next episode comes out Sunday, so super, super close. It will be out by the time this episode is released, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. With all that being said, this is going to be two nerds signing off. See ya.
See ya.